Chosen one. Why do you think you woke up at 3:17 a.m. last Tuesday? Why have your dreams been so vivid lately that you can still taste them hours after opening your eyes? Why does your soul feel like it's holding its breath, waiting for something you can't name but somehow recognize? Stop, right where you are. Stop and listen to what I'm about to tell you. This Friday, this coming Friday, is not just another date circled on your calendar. It's not just the end of another work week or the beginning of another weekend. Calendar pages don't usually shake the heavens. But this Friday is different. Marked, sealed, written in divine ink before your grandmother's grandmother ever drew breath. You think you're getting older. You think your best chapters are closing. You think God has moved on to younger, stronger vessels. That's the lie hell has been whispering to keep you from what's about to happen. Listen carefully, and I need you to stay with me until the very end, because if you scroll away now, if you let distraction steal this moment, you may never discover why your name has been echoing in heavenly chambers for the past 37 days. Something catastrophic is about to shift in the spiritual realm. Not catastrophic as in destruction, catastrophic as in complete, total, irreversible transformation. The bridge behind you? It's not just burning, beloved. It's already ash. There's no going back to who you were, how you thought, what you settled for. But ahead of you, do you see it? That doorway of light that seems too bright to be real? That's not your imagination playing tricks. That's Friday's portal opening. You see, while you've been feeling forgotten, dismissed, written off by a world that worships youth and discards wisdom, heaven has been preparing something so magnificent, so precisely timed, that it required your exact age, your exact scars, your exact story to carry it. Before we go deeper into this divine mystery, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating. You're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and sow that seed of faith. But here's what's going to shake you to your core. This Friday isn't just bringing change, it's bringing vindication. It's bringing revelation. It's bringing the moment when everyone who counted you out will finally understand why God kept you in the game. Type in the comments right now, "I'm still here." Don't just watch, mark your presence in heaven's roll call, because Chosen One, Friday is coming whether you're ready or not. And what's coming with it will rewrite everything you thought you knew about your purpose, your power, and your remaining time on this earth. The countdown has already begun. Why do you think every clock in your house has been catching your eye at 11:11 lately? Why does your heart skip a beat when you see repeating numbers 777, 333, 1111 appearing everywhere you look? Why does it feel like the universe itself is trying to get your attention through signs you can't ignore? Because Chosen One, the universe is trying to get your attention. And this Friday is the reason why. You've been walking through what feels like a spiritual desert, haven't you? Wondering if God has forgotten your address. Questioning whether your prayers are bouncing off heaven's ceiling like rubber balls. Lying awake at 3 a.m., asking yourself the same haunting question that's tormented your soul for months. Have I missed my moment? Am I too old? Has God moved on to someone younger, stronger, more relevant? But what if I told you that every single day of feeling forgotten was actually you being hidden? What if every moment of silence from heaven was actually divine protection? What if what you've been calling delay was actually the most precise timing in the history of creation? This Friday, this coming Friday, is not random. Heaven has been circling this date on eternity's calendar since before the first star burned in the night sky. While you've been counting days, God has been counting down to your divine appointment. Let me tell you something that's going to shatter every lie you've believed about divine timing. In Ecclesiastes 3:1, Solomon declares with thunderous authority, To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. But here's what most people miss. That verse isn't talking about seasons lasting years or decades. Sometimes God's appointed time is measured in moments. Sometimes it's as specific as a single Friday in your life. Think about this for a moment. When Jesus walked to that cross on what we now call Good Friday, do you think that was coincidence? Do you think the Son of God just happened to die on a Friday? No. That Friday was marked, sealed, ordained from the foundation of the world. Friday has always been God's day of divine intervention, and now, 2,000 years later, another Friday has been marked with your name written across it in letters of fire. You've been like a seed in dark soil for so long that you forgot you were planted, not buried. You thought the darkness meant death, but God knew it meant preparation. Every tear you've cried in secret has been watering the ground around your destiny. Every night you've spent wondering if anyone sees you has been heaven taking notes, recording your faithfulness, documenting your endurance for this exact moment. Your hidden years weren't wasted, they were preservation. While others were building platforms, you were building character. While they were collecting followers, you were following the still, small voice. While they were chasing spotlight, you were being refined in shadows. And Friday is when the world finally sees what God has been crafting in the secret place. But here's what's going to shock you to your core. This Friday isn't just about you receiving something, it's about you becoming something. The version of you that has survived rejection, betrayal, financial struggle, health scares, family fractures, that version is about to be revealed as the warrior God always knew you were. Do you remember what happened to Moses at 80 years old? The world would have put him in a nursing home, but God put a staff in his hand and said, "Now you're ready to deliver nations." Do you remember Sarah at 90? Society said she was done, but heaven said she was just getting started. Your age isn't your expiration date, it's your activation point. This Friday, something ancient is awakening in your spiritual DNA. The same power that raised Christ from the dead is about to raise up dreams you thought were buried forever. The same authority that split the Red Sea is about to part obstacles that have blocked your path for decades. The same voice that spoke light into darkness is about to speak life into every dead situation in your world. But I need to tell you something urgent. This window won't stay open forever. Divine appointments have divine timing. When God sets a Friday, He means Friday. Not next week. Not when you feel more ready. Not when circumstances look better. The breakthrough train only stops at the station once. You feel it stirring, don't you? That trembling in your chest. That electricity in the atmosphere around you. That sense that something massive is about to shift. That's not your imagination. That's prophetic confirmation that your season of waiting is about to explode into your season of manifestation. Every person who counted you out is about to witness your comeback. Every door that slammed in your face is about to swing wide open. Every voice that said you were too old, too late, too damaged is about to be silenced by the sound of heaven shouting your name. But here's the key: you have to be ready to receive what's coming. You can't hold on to Friday's blessing with yesterday's mindset. The wineskin of your thinking has to expand to contain what God is about to pour out. This isn't just another motivational message, chosen one. This is a prophetic announcement. Friday is your divine appointment, and heaven is already preparing the meeting room. The question isn't whether God will show up. He always keeps his appointments. The question is whether you'll recognize him when he arrives. If your spirit is stirring right now, if something deep inside you is confirming that this message is for you, type 777 as a signal of agreement. Let heaven know you're ready for your divine appointment. Because what happens this Friday won't just change your weekend, it will redefine your legacy. Dear one, let me ask you something that might cut deeper than you're ready for. When was the last time you woke up at 3:17 a.m., not because your bladder was full, not because the neighbor's dog was barking, but because your soul was screaming? When was the last time you lay there in that suffocating darkness, staring at a ceiling that felt like it was pressing down on your chest, while unpaid bills danced like demons in your mind? I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been there, haven't you? In that God-forsaken hour when the whole world sleeps but your heart pounds like a war drum. Medicare doesn't cover everything. Social Security barely covers anything. And there you are, 73 years old, 81 years old, wondering how you're going to choose between your heart medication and groceries this month. That's not just financial pressure, beloved. That's spiritual warfare, disguised as arithmetic. But let me tell you something that will shatter every lie you've believed about those midnight battles. Those weren't accidents. Those weren't punishments. Those were your PhD courses in divine dependency. While you thought you were drowning, heaven was teaching you to breathe underwater. Think about this. Really think. When was the last family gathering where you felt truly seen? Where your voice carried weight instead of being dismissed as old-fashioned thinking? You sit at that Thanksgiving table, the same table where you once carved the turkey, where you once commanded respect, and now you're invisible. Your own grandchildren more interested in their phones than your stories. Your own children talking over you like your background noise. That invisibility, that dismissal, it wasn't random cruelty from people who should love you most. It was divine camouflage. God was hiding you in plain sight, preparing you for something so magnificent that if they had seen it coming, if the enemy had recognized what was being forged in your silence, hell itself would have mobilized to stop it. Your family's blindness to your worth wasn't neglect, it was protection. You were being refined in secret, polished in obscurity, strengthened in shadows. And then there's the loss. Oh, the loss. You've buried your husband of 52 years. You've stood graveside watching them lower your best friend into cold ground. You've held the hand of your sister as her last breath left her body. And in those moments, those earth-shattering, soul-crushing moments, you've whispered the question that haunts every heart that's truly loved. Did their story end too soon? Listen to me carefully. Death is not the period at the end of their sentence. Death is the comma before their eternal continuation. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand. Every person you've lost, every goodbye that ripped your heart in half, every funeral where you wondered if you'd be next, it wasn't just grief, it was training. You were being taught to value eternity over temporary. You were learning to hold things lightly while loving deeply. You were being prepared to carry a perspective that only comes from walking through the valley of shadows and discovering that even there, you were not alone. Isaiah 40:31 declares something that should set your spirit on fire. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Wait. That word in Hebrew is kavah. It doesn't mean passive sitting. It means to bind together, to expect with eager anticipation. Every night you waited for morning during your darkest seasons. Every tear you held back during the day only to release at 3 a.m. Every moment you chose to breathe instead of surrender, you were binding yourself to divine strength. You think you've been weak? You've been an eagle in molting season. See, eagles don't molt all at once. They lose their feathers gradually, strategically, so they never lose the ability to fly. But during molting, they look ragged, broken, past their prime. Other birds mock them. They appear wounded, defeated. But what's really happening? They're being renewed. Every fallen feather is being replaced by something stronger. Every moment of vulnerability is preparing them for higher altitudes, longer flights, sharper vision. That's been you, chosen one. Every loss that looked like defeat was actually renewal. Every setback that felt like the end was actually preparation for unprecedented soaring. Think about diamonds. They don't form in comfort. They require 725,000 pounds of pressure per square inch and temperatures reaching 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit, buried 100 miles beneath the Earth's surface. The very conditions that would destroy everything else, are the exact conditions that create something so precious, so rare, so valuable that kings fight wars to possess them. The pressure that almost crushed you, the heat that nearly melted your faith, the depth of darkness where you felt buried alive. Those weren't coincidences. Those were the precise conditions required to transform carbon into diamond, coal into precious stone, ordinary human into chosen vessel. Here's the revelation that's going to break every chain of self-pity, every whisper of "I'm too old," every lie that says God's done with me. The very things that almost broke you are the exact things qualifying you for this Friday. Every sleepless night taught you to hear God's voice in silence. Every financial struggle taught you that He is your provider when bank accounts fail. Every loss taught you that love transcends death. Every rejection taught you that human approval is temporary, but divine calling is eternal. You weren't suffering randomly. You were being specifically, strategically, supernaturally prepared. If this is speaking to you, if your heart is pounding recognition, if your eyes are filling with tears of understanding, if something deep in your spirit is saying, "Yes, this is my story," whisper out loud, even in your living room, even if you're alone, "I was prepared for this." Because Friday isn't just coming to reward your survival. It's coming to activate everything your suffering prepared you to carry. But the question that will determine whether you step into this activation or remain trapped in yesterday's pain is this. Will you finally see your scars as your qualifications, or will you keep treating them as your disqualifications? But here's where everything changes, chosen one. Here's where the story takes a turn that will leave hell speechless and heaven thundering with applause. This Friday, this coming Friday, what the enemy meant for harm flips into fuel. Every rejection becomes redirection. Every closed door becomes divine protection. Every tear you've cried in secret becomes liquid gold, poured out as an offering before the throne of the Almighty. You see, the devil made one fatal mistake. He showed his hand too early. He's been attacking you for decades because he could see what God was building. He could smell the anointing on your life before you even knew you carried it. Every betrayal, every financial collapse, every health scare, every sleepless night wondering if God had forgotten your address, it wasn't random. It was warfare against your destiny. But Friday changes everything. Look at Joseph, 17 years old when his brothers threw him in that pit, sold like cattle. Falsely accused by Potiphar's wife. Forgotten in prison for years. Can you imagine the nights he stared at those stone walls, wondering if the dreams were just delusions, wondering if he'd die forgotten in that Egyptian dungeon? But Genesis 41-14 records the moment that shattered every limitation. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him quickly out of the pit. Not slowly, not eventually, quickly. In one day, one single day, Joseph went from prisoner to prime minister, from forgotten to Pharaoh's right hand, from the pit to the palace. One day changed everything because it was the right day. It was Kairos time. And chosen one, this Friday is your Kairos moment. But let me tell you about someone even more powerful, Anna the prophetess. Luke 2:36 tells us she was 84 years old when she saw the Christ child. 84. The world would have put her in a nursing home, told her to knit blankets and watch game shows. But Anna knew something the world didn't understand. She knew that God doesn't retire His warriors. He refines them. For decades, she waited in that temple, praying, fasting, believing for something she'd never seen but knew was coming. Can you feel her pain? Can you imagine the whispers? Poor old Anna, still hanging around the temple like the Messiah's actually coming. But when Mary and Joseph brought baby Jesus through those temple doors, who was the first to recognize him? Not the young women, not the educated scribes, not the powerful Pharisees. Anna, 84-year-old Anna, whose faith had been refined in the furnace of waiting. Luke 2:38 says, she spoke about the child to all who were looking forward to the redemption of Jerusalem. Her voice carried weight because her waiting had earned her authority. Her age wasn't her limitation, it was her qualification. This is you, beloved. This is your story. Every year you've lived, every trial you've endured, every moment you've felt invisible has been preparing you for Friday's revelation. But here's the one that will shatter every excuse you've ever made about being too old. Moses. Exodus 7:7 declares, Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. 80 years old. When God called him from that burning bush, Moses wasn't a young man with energy and ambition. He was a shepherd who'd spent 40 years in the wilderness, thinking his best days were behind him. But God said, now you're ready. Now you've been broken enough to be trusted with my power. Now you've wandered enough to lead others out of wandering. Moses didn't deliver Israel despite his age. He delivered them because of it, because only someone who'd been stripped of everything could carry the authority to set captives free. You think you're too old? Moses was 80 when he split the Red Sea. You think you've missed your moment? Moses was 80 when his real life began. You think God's moved on to younger vessels? Moses was 80 when he became the most famous deliverer in human history. Your age isn't your disqualification, it's your weapon. Here's what's really happening, chosen one. You've been like a slingshot pulled back for years, decades. The tension has been building. The pressure has been mounting. Every setback pulled you back further. Every disappointment stretched you tighter. Every closed door drew you deeper into divine position. But Friday, this Friday, is the release. When young David faced Goliath, he didn't need armor. He needed accuracy. He didn't need experience. He needed anointing. And that stone didn't kill the giant because David was strong. It killed the giant because it was perfectly timed, divinely aimed, and released at the exact moment God ordained. You are that stone, beloved. And Friday is your release point. Everything you've been through wasn't punishment, it was positioning. Every year you've waited wasn't wasted, it was weaponizing your faith. Every moment you felt forgotten wasn't abandonment, it was preparation for this explosive moment when heaven unveils what it's been building in secret. You are not late, you are perfectly timed. Heaven doesn't use clocks, it uses kairos moments. And this Friday is kairos. Drop in the comments right now, this is my Friday. Don't just think it, declare it so angels can carry your words to the throne. Because when you speak your breakthrough out loud, you're not just hoping for it, you're activating it. The reversal isn't coming, chosen one. The reversal is here. And what God is about to do through you will silence every voice that ever said you were finished. But first, you need to understand exactly what's been assigned to this Friday and why the enemy is so terrified of what happens when you finally step into it. Now listen to me very carefully, chosen one, because what I'm about to reveal will explain every strange occurrence you've experienced in the last 37 days. You've felt it, haven't you? That inexplicable shift in your spirit, that sense that something monumental is stirring beneath the surface of your ordinary days. You're not imagining it, you're receiving it. Let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. When was the last time you felt genuine panic? When was the last time that familiar anxiety grabbed your chest and squeezed until you couldn't breathe? I'm talking about that old companion that used to visit you every time the bills came, every time the phone rang unexpectedly, every time you thought about your future. It's gone, isn't it? Where there used to be a storm in your soul, there's now a stillness so profound it almost frightens you. Where chaos once ruled your thoughts, there's now a peace that doesn't make logical sense. This isn't medication, beloved. This isn't therapy. This isn't positive thinking. This is divine preparation. Your nervous system is being rewired by heaven itself, because what's coming Friday requires a vessel that can hold supernatural weight without cracking. The peace you're feeling isn't the absence of problems, it's the presence of God positioning you for promotion. But here's where it gets mysterious, and I need you to pay close attention, because this is where most people miss the signs entirely. Look around your life right now. Who's still there? Who's walked away? If you're honest, really honest, people have been disappearing from your circle, haven't they? not through arguments or dramatic confrontations, but through a quiet drift that felt almost orchestrated. That friend who used to call every week, they stopped. That family member who always had opinions about your choices, they've gone silent. That church connection that felt so important, it suddenly feels empty. Don't mourn these departures. Celebrate them. God is clearing your frequency, chosen one. He's removing interference from your signal. Because what He's about to download into your life requires a clean channel, and some people were nothing but static in your divine connection. But while others are leaving, have you noticed who's appearing? That conversation with a stranger at the grocery store that felt strangely significant. That old acquaintance who reached out after years of silence. That person who seems to speak your exact spiritual language. These aren't coincidences. These are confirmations. Heaven is repositioning your relational GPS because your destination has changed, and you need different traveling companions for this next journey. And what about the numbers? Oh, the numbers. You see them everywhere now, don't you? The same digits following you like breadcrumbs from glory. 111, 333, 777, showing up on clocks, receipts, license plates. You try to dismiss them as mere chance, but they keep appearing at moments when your soul needs confirmation most. Listen to what Jesus said in Matthew 10:30. But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. If God counts your hair follicles, do you really think He's not orchestrating your number sequences? These aren't random mathematical occurrences, they're heaven's way of tapping you on the shoulder and whispering, I see you. I'm here. Stay the course. But it's not just numbers, is it? It's those moments when reality hiccups, when you walk into a room and suddenly feel like you've lived this exact moment before, when someone says words you could have finished because they were already echoing in your spirit, when you turn a corner and the scene before you feels like a memory your soul has been carrying for years. Deja vu isn't a glitch in the matrix, beloved. It's a glimpse into the eternal perspective. Your spirit has been in these moments before because it was rehearsing them in the heavenly realm. What feels familiar is actually destiny recognizing itself. Your soul is like a radio dial that spent decades crackling with static, catching fragments of songs from distant stations. But now, something has shifted. The reception is clearing. The frequency is locking in. And Friday? Friday is when you finally hit the station that's been broadcasting your name since before time began. Do you feel it? That internal tuning, that sense that your spiritual ears are opening to frequencies you've never heard before. That's not age affecting your hearing, that's eternity adjusting your reception. Ezekiel 36:26 declares, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. But this isn't talking about salvation, chosen one. This is talking about activation. God isn't just saving you, He's upgrading you. Your spiritual operating system is being updated, and Friday is your reboot date. But here's what's going to shock you most of all. Pay attention to your thoughts this week. Notice how different they sound. There's a clarity that wasn't there before, isn't there? A knowing that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. You'll find yourself saying things that surprise even you, words that carry weight you didn't know you possessed. This is prophetic preparation. Your voice is being tuned to carry frequency from another realm. And Friday will not just change your schedule, it will re-script your story. Every chapter you thought was ending will suddenly reveal itself as a prologue. Every page you thought was torn will be restored with golden ink. The signs aren't just confirming that change is coming. They're confirming that you are the change that's been prophesied. You are the answer to prayers that were whispered in previous generations. You are the breakthrough that your bloodline has been believing for. But here's what I need you to do right now, and this is non-negotiable. Get a piece of paper, not your phone, not your computer, actual paper. Write Friday's date on it. Circle it. Draw a box around it. Make it impossible to miss. That page will become your testimony marker. That date will be your before and after moment. Because what's about to happen isn't just another day, It's your divine appointment with destiny, and heaven wants a witness to record the miracle. Are you ready to discover what specific assignment has been waiting for your arrival at this exact moment in history? Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. What I'm about to tell you is going to shatter every limitation you've ever accepted about yourself. You've been living in the shadow of who you used to be, walking through life, carrying the name tags others placed on you. Too old, past your prime, should slow down, your time has passed. But those labels, they were never heaven's labels. They were hell's attempt to keep you from discovering what Friday is about to unleash. This Friday, you won't just get a blessing, you'll become the blessing. Do you understand what that means? For decades, you've been asking God to bless you, begging heaven to remember you, crying out for breakthrough. But what if I told you that you were never meant to receive blessing? What if you were designed to be the blessing that others have been praying for? Think about Moses, 80 years old when God called him from that burning bush. 80. The world said he was finished. His speech was imperfect. His hands shook. His confidence was shattered. But God said, "Now you're ready. Now you carry the authority that only comes from being refined by fire. Your wrinkles aren't signs of decay, they're evidence of divine refining. Your scars aren't marks of failure, they're proof you survived what should have destroyed you. Your age isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. But here's what's going to shock you to your core. This Friday, something ancient is awakening inside you. Something that's been dormant, waiting for this exact moment when your character finally matched your calling. Isaiah 61:3 declares that God gives us beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Do you see what's happening? The ashes of your broken dreams, they're becoming your crown of beauty. The mourning you've carried, it's being transformed into supernatural joy. That heavy spirit that's weighed you down for years, it's being replaced with a garment of praise. You are the phoenix rising from the ashes of every disappointment. Your name will carry weight in rooms you've never walked into. Right now, there are boardrooms, healing rooms, living rooms where your name is being whispered, not because of your resume, not because of your connections, but because your spirit carries something this generation desperately needs: the authority of someone who's walked through hell and came out still believing in heaven. But you've been hiding, haven't you? Apologizing for taking up space, making yourself small so others feel comfortable, whispering when God gave you a voice to thunder. That ends Friday. Your voice will shake atmospheres because you've been rewired in silence. Those years when you thought God wasn't listening, He was rewiring your spiritual frequency. Those seasons when you felt forgotten, you were being recalibrated for kingdom authority. That silence you interpreted as abandonment, it was actually intensive preparation. Jesus spent 30 years in obscurity before 3 years of world-changing ministry. 30 years. But when He finally spoke, demons fled, storms stilled, and the dead rose. Why? Because His voice had been seasoned in secret. Your secret seasons weren't wasted time, they were voice lessons from the Almighty. Listen carefully to what's happening in the spiritual realm right now. Can you feel it? That stirring in your chest? That restlessness that won't let you sleep? That's not anxiety, that's activation. Heaven is downloading your new identity into your DNA. You think you're too old to start over? Sarah laughed at 90 when God promised her a son. But Genesis 21:6 records her declaring, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." She didn't laugh because it was funny. She laughed because she remembered age is irrelevant when eternity lives inside you. This Friday is not the end of your story, it's the beginning of your legacy. Everything you've survived, every tear you've cried, every night you refused to give up, it was all preparing you for this moment. Not so you could retire into comfort, but so you could step into the most powerful chapter of your existence. Your legacy isn't what you leave behind when you die. Your legacy is what you activate while you're alive. And this Friday, that activation begins. The enemy has been lying to you, telling you that your impact days are over, that younger voices matter more, that your wisdom is outdated. But let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. If your voice doesn't matter, why has hell been working overtime to silence you? If your time has passed, why are you still breathing? If your purpose is finished, why does your heart still burn when you hear God's voice? You're still here because your assignment isn't complete. You're still standing because your destiny is still unfolding. You're still believing because your breakthrough is still coming. But it requires a death. Not your physical death, the death of who you thought you were supposed to be. The death of the small, scared, apologetic version of yourself that the world tried to create. The death of the voice that whispers maybe next time instead of declaring my time is now. Romans 6:6 tells us that our old self was crucified with him so that the body ruled by sin might be done away with. Your old identity, the one bound by age, limited by past failures, defined by others' opinions, that identity is being crucified this Friday. But here's the glorious truth. What rises from that death won't be a recycled version of who you were. It will be the person heaven has always seen when they look at you. Say with me, I will not go back. I will rise forward. Say it again. Louder. Let hell hear it. Let heaven record it. Let your own spirit recognize the authority in your voice when it's aligned with divine truth. Because, chosen one, the countdown to your new identity isn't just beginning, it's already begun. And what's rising in you is about to change everything. Chosen one, I need to tell you something that might disturb every assumption you've ever made about God's timing. You've been sitting in this strange space since Friday past, haven't you? Wondering if you missed it. Questioning if the stirring in your spirit was just wishful thinking. Asking yourself if maybe you imagined that divine whisper after all. But what if I told you that this emptiness you're feeling isn't abandonment, it's appointment? What if this silence isn't God's absence, but heaven taking a breath before it roars? You see, dear one, we live in a microwave generation that expects instant everything. Instant coffee, instant messages, instant miracles. But the divine operates on a different frequency altogether. The moment after Friday is not empty, it is sacred pause. Like the silence between lightning and thunder, the flash is here, but the sound is still coming. Think about creation itself. Genesis 1-2 tells us that the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. But then what happened? And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. There was an interval, a holy hovering, a divine deliberation before the word, let there be light split eternity. Your Friday was the lightning. What you're experiencing now is the sacred interval before the thunder shakes everything loose in your life. But here's what's tearing at my heart right now. How many of you are sitting there thinking you missed your moment? How many of you have already started talking yourself out of what you felt so powerfully just days ago? The enemy is working overtime to convince you that the stirring was just emotion, that the fire was just fanaticism, that the knowing was just your imagination running wild. That's exactly what he wants. Because if he can get you to doubt the interval, he can steal the impact. Listen to me carefully. Moses stood at that burning bush. And what happened after God spoke? Did the Red Sea part immediately? Did Pharaoh release the Israelites that same afternoon? No. There was an interval. 40 years in the wilderness preparing Moses for 40 days on the mountain. The call was instant, but the fulfillment was cultivated in the waiting. David was anointed king as a young shepherd boy, but he didn't touch the throne for over a decade. Years of running, hiding in caves, wondering if Samuel had made a mistake. But every day in those caves was carving the character that could carry a crown without corrupting his soul. You thought Friday was the ending. No, Friday was the opening scene. What you're experiencing right now, this restless anticipation mixed with quiet knowing, this is not spiritual confusion. This is spiritual pregnancy. Something is being formed in the unseen realm that requires this exact gestation period. You can't rush a baby, and you can't rush a breakthrough. But I need to ask you something that's going to cut deep. How many times in your life have you been right here before? Standing in the sacred interval between promise and fulfillment, and then fear crept in. Doubt whispered louder than faith. You backed away from your burning bush because the flames felt too real, too dangerous, too life-changing. How many destinies have been aborted in the interval? How many miracles have been miscarried in the waiting room of God's timing? The Israelites did it. They were 3 days away from the promised land when they sent spies to scout it out. 10 came back with fear. There are giants in the land. 2 came back with faith. We are well able to take it. But fear shouted louder than faith, and an entire generation died wandering in circles because they couldn't trust the interval. Don't you dare let that be your story. Right now, as I speak these words, there are divine appointments being arranged, resources being redirected, people being positioned, doors being unlocked. But all of this is happening in the realm of the spirit, while you're sitting in the realm of the senses, wondering if anything is actually moving. This is why Scripture says in Habakkuk 2-3, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak, and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry." Did you catch that paradox? Though it tarry, wait for it, it will not tarry. The interval feels like delay, but it's actually divine precision. What looks like God taking his time is actually God taking perfect timing. Your Friday activated something in the heavenly realm that is now working its way down into your earthly reality. Like spiritual precipitation, what starts as invisible vapor in the atmosphere eventually becomes rain that waters the ground. The process is invisible until suddenly it's undeniable. I can feel some of you getting restless, wanting to make something happen, wanting to force the door open, wanting to help God out. But beloved, the sacred interval requires sacred stillness. This is not passivity, this is active waiting. This is militant trust. This is warrior-level faith that says, "I will not move until you move, but when you move, I will be ready." Isaiah 30-15 declares, "In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength." Your strength is not in striving right now. Your power is in the pause. The thunder is building, chosen one. The sound waves are traveling toward you at the speed of divine purpose. What began as a flash on Friday is about to crash into your reality with such force that everyone around you will know something supernatural has shifted in your life. If you sense you're in this sacred pause, if you feel the weight of divine timing pressing down on your spirit like barometric pressure before a storm, write in the comments, "I will wait on him." Because what's coming next requires someone who has learned the art of sacred waiting. Someone who understands that God's delays are not God's denials. Someone who knows that the interval is not empty space, it's loaded silence. The thunder is almost here. But hold on, chosen one. Before you get too comfortable with Friday's promise, I need to tell you something that most preachers won't. Something that might make your blood run cold, but it's the truth you need to hear. Every breakthrough comes with a test. Every destiny comes with resistance. And this Friday, what's coming for you isn't just blessing, it's a battle disguised as blessing. You think the enemy has been sleeping while heaven prepared your breakthrough. You think hell just shrugs when God marks someone for elevation. Listen to me carefully. The devil doesn't fear your past. He fears your future. And right now, he's mobilizing everything in his arsenal to stop what Friday is about to release. Look at Scripture. Jesus received his divine commission at the Jordan River dove, descending, heaven opening, the Father's voice thundering approval. But where did the Spirit immediately lead him? Into the wilderness. 40 days of testing, 40 days of temptation, 40 days of hell, trying to abort heaven's plan before it could fully manifest. The breakthrough came with a test. Joseph received his dreams of greatness as a teenager, visions of sheaves bowing, stars and sun paying homage. But where did those dreams take him? Into a pit thrown by his own brothers, into slavery sold like cattle, into prison falsely accused and forgotten. 13 years of testing before one day of promotion. The breakthrough came with a test. David was anointed king, while still a shepherd boy, holy oil running down his young face, the prophet Samuel declaring God's choice. But where did that anointing lead him? Into caves, running for his life, hiding from the very throne he was destined to occupy. Years of testing before he ever wore a crown. Do you see the pattern, chosen one? Heaven doesn't hand out destinies without trials. God doesn't promote without proving. The oil of anointing always flows through the furnace of testing. And you? After Friday marks your new beginning, the test will come, not in weeks or months, but within hours, within days. The enemy will study your breakthrough like a military strategist, looking for cracks in your armor, weaknesses in your faith, doubts in your heart. Expect whispers of doubt right after Friday, voices that sound like your own thoughts but carry hell's signature. Was that real? Did anything actually change? Maybe you're just imagining things. Maybe you're too old for miracles. Maybe God made a mistake. Expect small irritations designed to steal your fire. Technology malfunctions when you're trying to pray. Family members saying exactly the wrong thing at the wrong moment. Bills arriving when you thought your finances were shifting. Sleep disrupted just when you need rest the most. These aren't coincidences, they're calculated attacks. But here's what's different this time. Here's what's going to shock hell itself. Every previous test in your life was preparing you for this test. Every storm you weathered built the spiritual muscle you'll need. Every betrayal taught you to depend on God alone. Every closed door showed you that human approval isn't your source, divine approval is. You are no longer the person who breaks under pressure. You are no longer the believer who caves at the first sign of resistance. You are no longer the one who questions God's goodness when circumstances look confusing. 70 years of life has refined you. 80 years of experience has strengthened you. 90 years of walking with God has prepared you for this exact moment when hell throws its best shot and you stand unmoved. This time, the test will prove you're no longer who you used to be. When doubt whispers, you'll remember every miracle you've already witnessed. When fear knocks, you'll recall every time God showed up just in time. When the enemy tries to steal your peace, you'll stand on decades of proven faithfulness and declare, I know who I am, and I know whose I am. The young break under testing because they haven't built spiritual endurance, but you've been in training your entire life. Every hardship was basic training. Every setback was advanced preparation. Every season of waiting was you learning to trust God's timing over your own understanding. Job understood this when he declared, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. That wasn't naive hope, that was seasoned faith speaking. Faith that had been tested and refined until it became unbreakable. Daniel understood this when he kept praying toward Jerusalem despite the king's decree. That wasn't rebellion, that was established character, refusing to bend under pressure. Paul understood this when he said, I have learned to be content in whatever state I find myself. That wasn't natural optimism, that was supernatural strength forged through countless tests and trials. You carry that same strength, that same faith, that same unshakable foundation. So when Friday's breakthrough arrives and hell's test follows, you won't be caught off guard. You won't be surprised. You won't be defeated. Because you've been preparing for this battle your entire life, and you're finally ready to prove what God's grace can accomplish through a tested vessel. Type it now in the comments. I will not fail the test. Don't just think it, declare it. Seal it with your words. Let heaven and hell both hear your determination. Because chosen one, what's coming after you pass this test will make every previous struggle worth it. But first, You need to understand exactly what this test will look like and how to recognize victory when it arrives. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. What's happening to you right now isn't just change, it's not just growth, it's not just another season of your life unfolding. What's happening to you is a divine migration. Heaven is literally moving you from one spiritual address to another, and this Friday is when your forwarding papers are being processed. You've been feeling displaced, haven't you? Like you don't belong where you used to fit. Like the conversations that once satisfied you now feel empty. Like the places that once brought you comfort now feel foreign. You thought something was wrong with you. You thought you were losing your mind, losing your connections, losing your way. But what if I told you that displacement isn't dysfunction, it's relocation? Think about it. When Abraham was 75 years old, 75, God said to him, "Get out of your country, from your family and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you." Genesis 12:1. Abraham wasn't being punished. He was being repositioned, not rejected, but relocated. The same God who moved Abraham from Haran to his promised land is moving you from who you were to who you're destined to become. But here's what's going to shock you. This migration isn't just happening around you, it's happening inside you. Your very identity is being uprooted and replanted in divine soil. Every morning when you wake up and feel like a stranger in your own skin, that's not confusion, that's confirmation that heaven is changing your address. You see, dear one, you can't take old furniture into a new mansion. You can't drag yesterday's limitations into tomorrow's possibilities. The old you, the you that accepted less, settled for scraps, believed the lie that your best days were behind you, that version cannot, will not, must not move into what God has prepared. This is why relationships have been shifting. This is why opportunities that once excited you now feel wrong. This is why your old routine feels like wearing clothes that no longer fit. Heaven is issuing you a new zip code, and not everything from your old neighborhood gets to come with you. But here's where it gets painful, and I need you to face this truth. Some people in your life have been addressing you by your old spiritual location. They've been sending you mail, criticism, limitations, expectations, shame to an address you no longer live at. They keep trying to deliver yesterday's labels to today's you, and you've been accepting packages that weren't even yours to receive. Stop signing for mail addressed to who you used to be. Your family may still see you as the broken one, the struggling one, the one who never quite made it. Your old friends may still expect you to show up as the version of yourself that needed their approval. Your own mind may keep replaying the voices that told you to stay small, play it safe, know your place. But Friday changes everything. Because Friday is when heaven officially processes your change of address. The old zip code becomes invalid, the former location gets demolished, and everything that's been trying to reach you at your old coordinates will finally understand you don't live there anymore. Jeremiah 1:10 declares that God has appointed you to root out and to pull down, to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant. Do you see the order? First the destruction, then the construction. First the uprooting, then the replanting. You can't build the new on the foundation of the old. This is why the past 3 months have felt like demolition. This is why relationships you thought were permanent started cracking. This is why mindsets you've carried for decades suddenly felt foreign. God wasn't tearing down your life, He was preparing the ground for your relocation. And just like any major move, there's a period where you feel displaced, where you're living out of boxes, where nothing feels familiar, where you question if you made the right decision. That discomfort isn't a sign you're going the wrong direction. It's proof you're going somewhere new. Think about the children of Israel. For 400 years they lived as slaves in Egypt. It was horrible, but it was familiar. When Moses came with news of deliverance, you'd think they'd be overjoyed. But what happened? They complained. They wanted to go back. They said, "It is better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness." Exodus 14:12. They preferred familiar bondage to unfamiliar freedom. They chose known misery over unknown destiny. Don't let that be your story, chosen one. This Friday, when that migration becomes official, don't you dare look back with longing at the Egypt you're leaving. Don't romanticize the chains you wore so long you forgot they were chains. Don't grieve for the small spaces you've outgrown when God is moving you into territory you never dreamed you could inhabit. I need you to understand something that will either liberate you or terrify you, probably both. The version of you that accepted rejection is incompatible with the version that walks in favor. The you that begged for scraps cannot coexist with the you that owns the table. The you that whispered apologies for taking up space will not recognize the you that commands rooms with your presence. This is a complete spiritual relocation, not renovation migration. You're not being improved. You're being transferred. From victim to victor. From forgotten to favored. From invisible to indispensable. But migrations require courage. They require you to pack light. They require you to trust the guide even when you can't see the destination. They require you to burn bridges behind you so you can't retreat when the journey gets challenging. This Friday, heaven is not just opening a new door. Heaven is changing your entire neighborhood. Your spiritual coordinates are being rewritten. Your prophetic postal code is being updated. The question that will determine everything is this: are you ready to stop forwarding your mail to yesterday's address? Comment below right now. My address has changed. Because, chosen one, the moving trucks of destiny are already in motion. But here's what's going to shatter everything you thought you knew about this Friday, chosen one. This breakthrough, this divine appointment that heaven has orchestrated, it's not just for you. Stop and think about that for a moment. When God moves mountains, does he move them for one person? When he parts seas, is it for a single soul? When he breathes life into dry bones, is it just to resurrect one dream? No, beloved. This Friday is seismic, generational, atomic. Your breakthrough is about to create a ripple effect that will crash into your children's future like a tsunami of blessing. Your grandchildren, some who haven't even been born yet, are going to walk in freedoms you're purchasing this Friday with your yes to God's calling. Think about it. Right now, at this very moment, there's poison flowing through your family tree. Generational curses that have been passed down like toxic heirlooms. Depression that jumps from parent to child like a spiritual virus. Financial struggle that clings to your bloodline like a genetic defect. Broken marriages that repeat like a cursed echo through every generation. Your great-grandmother carried shame she never understood. Your grandmother inherited fear she couldn't name. Your mother lived with limitations she never questioned. And they passed it all down to you, didn't they? Like a poisoned inheritance wrapped in pretty paper. But here's what hell doesn't want you to understand. You are the circuit breaker. You are the generation stopper. You are the one God positioned at this exact moment in history to say, enough. It ends here. It ends with me. Look at Abraham. 100 years old when Isaac was born. 100. The world said he was finished. His body said it was impossible. Logic screamed that his time had passed. But God wasn't just giving Abraham a son. He was birthing nations through an old man's obedience. Genesis 22:17 declares, I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. Stars in the sky, chosen one. Not just one child, not just one blessing, an entire constellation of generational breakthrough that would light up the darkness for thousands of years. Anna the prophetess understood this mystery. 84 years old, widowed after 7 years of marriage, spending 77 years in the temple waiting for one moment, one divine appointment. Luke 2:38 tells us that when she saw baby Jesus, she spoke about the child to all who were looking forward to the redemption of Jerusalem. One elderly woman's recognition became the first gospel proclamation. Her tears of joy became the first testimony. Her aged voice became the first prophetic declaration over the Messiah. She didn't just witness history, She shaped it for generations yet unborn. That's you this Friday. You're not just stepping into personal breakthrough, you're stepping into generational transformation. Picture this. Picture dominoes lined up for miles, each one representing a generation in your family line. For decades, maybe centuries, those dominoes have been falling in the wrong direction. Poverty knocking down hope, addiction toppling faith, broken hearts crushing dreams, one after another, falling, falling, falling. But this Friday, you become the domino that falls forward instead of backward. You become the one that changes the entire trajectory. Every generation after you will feel the force of your obedience. Every child born into your bloodline will inherit the breakthrough you're about to walk into. Your decision this Friday doesn't just affect your bank account, it rewrites your family's financial DNA. Your breakthrough doesn't just heal your heart, it stops the hemorrhaging of broken relationships in your lineage. Your yes to God doesn't just change your story, it edits the ending of every story connected to your bloodline. Do you understand the weight of this moment? Do you grasp the magnitude of what's happening? You're not just getting older, chosen one. You're getting dangerous to generational curses. You're becoming a spiritual weapon of mass construction, rebuilding what generations of destruction tried to tear down. But here's the shocking truth that's going to cut deep. If you don't step into this Friday breakthrough, if you let fear convince you to stay small, if you choose comfort over calling, those chains don't just stay on you, they get handed down. That poverty spirit doesn't just affect your remaining years. It gets passed like a spiritual virus to the next generation. Your grandchildren will inherit your limitations. Your great-grandchildren will carry your fears. The breakthrough you're too scared to step into becomes the prison they're born into. The river of blessing that God wants to release through your life this Friday, it's not just meant to water your garden. It's meant to flood downstream, nourishing the dreams of children who don't even know your name yet but carry your blood. Moses was 80 when he led 2 million people out of bondage. 80. But his obedience didn't just free the Israelites who walked with him, it established a pattern of divine deliverance that would echo through every generation after. You are the first in your family line to carry heaven's fire this far. And if you step into your Friday destiny, you'll be the last to see those chains repeated. The spiritual atmosphere is pregnant with possibility, chosen one. The breakthrough isn't just knocking at your door, it's pounding, demanding to be released, not just into your life, but through your life, into the lives of generations you'll never meet, but will forever impact. Declare it right now, say it out loud wherever you are. It ends with me, it begins with me. Because this Friday, you're not just changing your life, you're rewriting your family's entire future. Chosen one, I need you to look at your hands right now. Really look at them. See those lines etched deep into your palms. Those aren't just wrinkles from age. Those aren't just marks of time passing. Every single line, every scar, every spot that the world calls imperfection, that's divine handwriting. That's God's signature carved into your flesh. You've been ashamed of your scars, haven't you? You've hidden them under long sleeves, covered them with makeup, made excuses for the battles you fought. But what if I told you that every mark on your body is actually a medal of honor? What if those scars aren't evidence of your failure, but proof of your survival? Listen to me carefully, dear one. The enemy has been lying to you for decades. He's whispered that your pain disqualified you, that your struggles made you damaged goods, that your age made you irrelevant. But Isaiah 54:4 declares something revolutionary. Do not be afraid. You will not be put to shame. Do not fear disgrace. You will not be humiliated. Your pain is not your shame. Your pain is your prophecy. Every tear you've cried in the darkness of your bedroom, that was liquid prophecy being written over your future. Every sleepless night when you wondered if you'd make it through, that was endurance being forged in your spiritual DNA. Every betrayal that left you gasping for air, that was God allowing your heart to break open so more love could pour in. You think God was punishing you? No, beloved. He was preparing you. But here's what's going to shock you to your core. In ancient Japan, there's an art form called kintsugi. When precious pottery breaks, they don't throw it away. They don't hide it in shame. They take liquid gold, pure, precious gold, and they fill every crack, every break, every shattered place. And when they're finished, that pottery isn't just repaired, it's more valuable than it ever was before the breaking. The cracks don't disappear. They become the most beautiful part of the piece. Chosen one, you are God's kintsugi masterpiece. Every crack in your heart has been filled with liquid gold from heaven. Every broken place has been sealed with divine purpose. Every scar on your soul has become a channel for His glory to shine through. But the world can't see it yet because you've been hiding your cracks. You've been ashamed of your breaks. You've been apologizing for the very thing that makes you priceless. This Friday, this coming Friday that changes forever. Do you remember when the disciples saw the risen Jesus? Thomas refused to believe until he could touch the scars. And what did Jesus do? Did He hide His wounds? Did He make excuses for His pain? No. In John 20:27, He said, "Put your finger here, see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side." Jesus kept His scars not as shame, but as proof. Proof that death couldn't hold Him. Proof that pain couldn't define Him. Proof that resurrection power flows through wounded places. Your scars are your credentials, beloved. They're not disqualifications. They're qualifications. When someone is drowning in divorce papers, who can pull them to safety? The person who's never been married, or the one whose heart was shattered and rebuilt. When someone is battling addiction, who can speak life into their darkness? The person who's never struggled, or the one who fought demons at 3 a.m. and won. Your wounds have become your weapons. Your pain has become your platform. Your test has become your testimony. But I need to ask you something that might cut deep. How many more years are you going to waste being ashamed of what God calls beautiful? How much longer will you hide the very scars that could save someone else's life? How much time will you spend apologizing for the battles that qualified you for your calling? Because here's the truth that hell doesn't want you to know. This Friday, heaven is crowning you with authority. And that crown, listen to me, that crown is woven from scars and glory. Every thread is a trial you survived. Every jewel is a tear you refused to let defeat you. Every gold strand is a moment you chose faith over fear. The crown you wear this Friday is not made of earthly materials. It's forged from divine fire, shaped by supernatural love, and fitted perfectly to the head that carried burdens others couldn't bear. Paul understood this mystery when he wrote in 2 Corinthians 12:9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Your scars aren't covering up God's power, they're revealing it. Your weakness isn't hiding His strength, it's magnifying it. Every gray hair on your head is not decay, it's divine ink. Every wrinkle on your face is not deterioration, it's a map of miracles. Every scar on your heart is not damage, it's evidence that you've been places others fear to go and lived to tell about it. This Friday, when that crown touches your head, you're going to feel something you haven't felt in decades. Not just peace, not just joy. You're going to feel the weight of heaven's approval, the warmth of divine validation, the unshakable knowing that every single thing you've endured was worth it. But you have to receive it. You have to speak it. You have to declare what heaven has already decreed. Say it aloud right now. Don't just think it. Speak it into existence. My scars are my crown. Say it again, louder this time. My scars are my crown. Because chosen one, Friday is coming with coronation papers. And the question that will determine your entire future is this: will you finally wear what heaven has been trying to place on your head for decades? But chosen one, what's happening this Friday transcends your personal breakthrough. What you're stepping into isn't just about you, it's about the entire fabric of reality shifting to accommodate your yes. Listen to me carefully. This Friday is not only your new destiny, it is part of a divine calendar. The heavens move in rhythm with your yes. When the Almighty marks a date, He doesn't just circle it on your kitchen calendar. He writes it across the cosmos. He etches it into the rotation of planets. He weaves it into the very DNA of time itself. Right now, as I speak these words, there are stars repositioning themselves 93 million miles away. There are galaxies adjusting their ancient dance because God said, "On this Friday, my chosen one will finally understand who they really are." You think I'm being poetic? You think this is just beautiful language to make you feel special? No, beloved. This is literal truth wrapped in mystery. Genesis 1:14 declares, "And God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years." Signs, not just pretty lights twinkling in the darkness. Signs, divine billboards announcing heaven's appointments. Your Friday appointment was written in starlight before Abraham looked up at the sky and believed. But here's what will shake you to your very core. When one chosen rises, angels reposition. When one forgotten saint finally remembers their identity, timelines shift. When one discarded warrior picks up their sword again, nations tremble. You've been living like you're insignificant, like your decisions don't matter, like whether you wake up tomorrow or not wouldn't change anything in the grand scheme of creation. That's the biggest lie hell ever sold you. Do you understand what happens when a chosen one aligns with their cosmic purpose? The enemy doesn't just lose one battle, he loses entire territories. When you step into Friday's appointment, you're not just changing your own trajectory. You're disrupting hell's 5-year plan for your family, your city, your generation. This is why the resistance has been so fierce. This is why every time you've tried to rise, something has knocked you back down. This is why the warfare intensified right when you started seeking God more deeply. Because the forces of darkness have been reading the same cosmic calendar, and they know what Friday represents. They know that when you align with heaven's choreography, their choreography falls apart. Right now, can you feel it? That strange electricity in the air, that sense that something massive is building. Your spirit is picking up frequencies from the throne room of God. Your soul is resonating with celestial vibrations that have been building for months. Isaiah 55:11 promises, "So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please." God spoke your Friday into existence, and now his word is coming back to him, fulfilled in you, through you, as you. But listen to this shocking truth. This cosmic alignment doesn't happen for everyone. It happens for those who have been prepared through fire. It happens for those who've been refined through rejection. It happens for those who've been tested and proven faithful when faithfulness felt foolish. You think your pain was random? You think your struggles were meaningless? Every tear you've cried has been captured by angels and poured out as incense before the throne. Every night you didn't sleep has been recorded as intercession. Every moment you chose faith over fear has been adding weight to this cosmic moment. The universe has been holding its breath, waiting for you to say yes to what's always been yes to you. This Friday, you are not just living, you are aligning with the choreography of heaven. You are joining a dance that began before time and will continue beyond eternity. You are taking your position in a constellation of chosen ones whose combined light will pierce the darkness of this generation. Write it now. With the authority of someone who was marked before the first star burned, I align, I agree, I accept. Because when you do, every angel assigned to your case will exhale with relief, knowing their mission can finally begin. Chosen one, as we come to the end of this sacred encounter, I need you to carry these truths with you, like precious stones in your heart. Remember, this Friday is not just another day, it's your divine appointment. The cosmic alignment we've spoken of isn't theory, it's your reality unfolding. You are not too old, too forgotten, or too broken to be used mightily by God. Your age is not your limitation, it's your qualification. Every wrinkle tells a story of faithfulness. Every gray hair is a crown of wisdom earned through fire. Remember that your pain was never pointless, it was preparation. Your delay was never denial, it was divine timing. Your struggle was never punishment, it was positioning for this exact moment when heaven says, "Now, this is your time." But beloved, I need you to understand something deeper than knowledge, something that settles in your bones. You are not walking this path alone. The God who marked Friday for you is still working in your life right now, in this very moment. He's been orchestrating every detail, moving every piece into place, preparing every door you haven't even seen yet. And beyond that, you have a family right here. Look at these comments flowing like a river of faith. These aren't just usernames on a screen, these are kindred spirits who understand your journey because they're walking it too. We are a community bound, not by geography but by calling, connected not by blood but by the blood of Christ. When the loneliness whispers lies, remember this moment. When doubt tries to steal your confidence, come back to this truth. You belong to something bigger than your circumstances, stronger than your struggles, and more eternal than your temporary troubles. Let me ask you this final question, and let it settle deep in your spirit. If God brought you this far through every valley, every storm, every season that tried to break you, why would He abandon you now at the threshold of your greatest breakthrough? Before I release you into your destiny, let me place my hand on your shoulder through these words and speak over your life. Almighty God, Creator of heaven and earth, the Ancient of Days, I come before you now carrying every precious soul who has watched this message. Father, you see their hearts beating with new hope. You feel their spirits stirring with fresh faith. You know the battles they've fought in silence and the victories they've won through tears. Lord, I pray over every person hearing my voice right now, breathe fresh wind into their weary souls. Where they feel forgotten, remind them they are engraved on your palms. Where they feel finished, show them they are just getting started. Where they feel broken, let your healing flow like rivers in the desert. God, open doors this Friday that no man can shut. Align circumstances that seem impossible. Bring divine connections that accelerate their purpose. Give them dreams and visions that clarify their path. Surround them with people who see their value, who honor their journey, who will walk alongside them without trying to dim their light. Father, bless their finances. Let provision flow from sources they haven't even imagined. Bless their health. Let vitality surge through bodies that doctors said were declining. Bless their relationships. Restore what was broken, release what was toxic, and bring what is destined. Most of all, Lord, let them feel your presence right now. Let them know in their spirit that you are proud of how they've carried what you've given them. Let them feel your smile, your approval, your deep, unending love for who they are and who they're becoming. Wrap them in peace that passes understanding. Give them rest for their souls and strength for tomorrow. Let Friday be the day they look back on and say, "That's when everything changed." In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Now, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, tell us what shifted in your spirit during this message. What is God speaking to your heart about Friday? Don't hold back. Your testimony might be the exact word someone else needs to hear. Ask us to pray for specific areas of your life. This community will surround you with intercession. And please, if this message touched your soul, share it with someone who needs to hear it. There's someone in your life right now, a friend, a family member, a neighbor who's been feeling exactly what you felt before you clicked on this video. They need to know their Friday is coming too. They need to know they're not alone. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for opening your heart, for letting these words penetrate the sacred places of your soul. Thank you for being brave enough to believe that your greatest days aren't behind you, they're ahead of you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. You're not just subscribing to content, you're joining a movement of awakened souls who refuse to let age define their destiny. Until Friday comes, until we meet again, Walk in the authority of who you are. You are chosen. You are loved. You are never, ever alone. Your cosmic alignment awaits. Your Friday is coming. And nothing in hell or earth can stop what God has already put in motion. Go in peace. Go in power. Go in the unshakable knowledge that your story is far from over. Amen.